Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Extra Mile with Whitewater Freight. I'm William Buczkai. This is where we try to move the world, not just freight, but freight too. So if you have any of that, contact us. Anyway, this episode, we want to talk about Ted Lasso. And so if you've not watched the show yet, go ahead and either be prepared for spoilers or just turn off and then come back and watch it later. I'm sure we've talked about this before. I love talking about Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso blows my mind. It's a beautiful show. The cohesion with characters and storylines and everything that they created is just beautiful. But not only that, there are so many lessons inside the show that literally every episode you could pick out something. So I'm only going to pick out a few. And they are the few that relate to everything that we do here at Whitewater Freight, but also everything that we're trying to do here with the Extra Mile and all of the things that are going to come in the future. So that's a little bit of start off with Ted Lasso and why we're going to be doing this episode. First off, we're going to start with believe. If you've seen the show, you know that Ted Lasso has a kind of, it's not even a saying, it's just all over the place. And it's up on the wall. Very first thing he does, he's got a sign that says believe, smacks it up on the wall. And it's not just about motivation. You know, you could think of it as believe, like this is motivating, but not just believe as in like, okay, like a motivational rah-rah, but also just believe in the process. Just trust in the process and just believe that what you're doing and the plan that you have is going to work. So like the logistics tie-in for us is that success freight isn't about quick wins. It's about consistency, trust, and process-driven execution. It's about that consistent. It's about doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting better and better and better through the muscle memory and just the process. The big takeaway is believe in the systems and the people around you and be willing to put in the work even when things aren't going as planned, because they're not always going to go as planned. But if you believe in the system and you believe in the process, you can keep moving forward. You don't, just because things aren't going as planned doesn't mean you deviate or change in a wildly rapid direction. You know, we have to stay consistent with things. So believe. Number two, one of my favorites is be like a goldfish. Ted tells his players to be like a goldfish, meaning having a short-term memory when things go wrong. One of his players misses a kick, gets all upset with himself. Ted brings him over. He's like, hey, do you know what the happiest animal on that planet is? And the player's like, what? It's like a goldfish because it's got a 10-second memory. So it only holds on to things for 10 seconds. And then it just moves forward and moves on. And that's what Ted suggests that his people do. And that's what we suggest our people do here. Our logistics tie-in is mistakes happen. A truck breaks down. A shipment is delayed. But dwelling on it won't help. Learn, adjust, and move forward as we keep the freight moving forward. My mom always said in a different way, things are always going to happen. It's about how you deal with them when they do happen. You know, so just forget the hardship and keep moving forward. Be a goldfish. And lesson number 3, if we're keeping count here, is it's not just about the scoreboard. Ted focuses on growth, not just winning. He builds a strong culture first, knowing success will follow. Often throughout the whole series, we hear him talk about he doesn't care if they win or lose. And it's honestly evident when it happens. You know, he's focused on his players and his players' growth more than anything else. The logistics tie-in that we have with this is the best freight partnerships aren't built on chasing the lowest rate, but they're built on relationships, reliability, and adding value. The big takeaway is focus on the long game, and the wins will come. And lesson number 4, if we're keeping count, which I guess we are half the time. This is my favorite one. Be curious, not judgmental. One of the most memorable moments is when Ted is referencing a misunderstood Walt Whitman quote, "Be curious, not judgmental." He's playing darts with somebody who the other person thinks that they are far more superior than he is and looking down upon him. And, Ted just brings this whole thing back with, a lot of times it helps if people are curious instead of judgmental, you know. And he says, like, if you were curious, well, why did I have my own set of darts? Or how long have I played darts? It's a great episode. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. If you have seen it, go back and rewatch it because it's one of my favorite parts. But our logistics tie-in is in freight, in business, and in life. Jumping to conclusions can lead to bad decisions, and asking the right questions leads to better solutions. So be curious. Around here, I'm just a curious person by nature. We get new systems. I want to know how this works. How's that work? How's this work? How's that work? We have trainings coming up for a new piece of software we have. And my thought process is I want to be in the software and have everything like figured out before we start the training. That way I can get the most out of the training that we do. Be curious about everything around you. And the more curious you are, the more you'll learn. The big takeaway is whether dealing with clients, teammates, or challenges, approach things with curiosity instead of assumptions, because the old adage of assuming makes an ass out of you and me. So to tie everything back with the extra mile here, how small little mindset shifts can change outcomes to business and life. What's a time when curiosity helped you solve a problem or change a perspective? Let's talk about it in the comments.